Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, October the 9th, 2019. And I wanted to talk about page 2 of the purchase agreement and go over that for you. As you recall, we're going to have 5 separate videos on the purchase contract, 1 video per page. First page and the second page, and actually even the third page are probably the most detailed. So I'm going to really go over the highlights, and then I recommend that the best thing that you could do for your career is to really spend some time with this document, as it is probably the most detailed and the most important document in the real estate transaction. So if you recall on page 1, we started out at the very bottom. It talked about that your buyer would apply for their loan within X amount of days of a signed purchase agreement. And I mentioned that I usually put down 5 days. And really, as we go through these videos, I'm telling you the things that I've done over the course of 22 years that have seemed to serve me pretty well. Things do change, but I think 5 days is pretty standard and is more than enough time. And it also, quite frankly, gives your buyer, if they choose, maybe an opportunity to shop another lender if they want to. So we'll go to page 2, which starts at line 55. And actually, if I back up on line 54, page 1, it talks about acceptance and using good faith efforts to obtain a written commitment for that loan on or about, and then we go to line 55 on page 2, it's blank. So we're going to talk about and use today as the date that you enter into a contract, October 9th, 2019. And you certainly have to have a conversation with your buyer about when do they want to take possession. And for the sake of this discussion, we're going to say that they, as we sit here, we would like to take possession at the end of November. Okay? So in the situation with the dates, which are primarily dealing with lines 55 through 72, you really want to work backwards, all right? And that's the best way to kind of do this so that you can kind of then put the dates in line. But in my opinion, for a loan approval, in this type of a transaction where we're looking at about a 50-day close, I would say that, I think that you're fair to put down that they'll have loan approval within 30 days. So I would look at the calendar from today, and I always use dates. I don't use number of days. And so I would just say that they would have loan approval on or about November 9th, November 10th. Maybe you push it out even further. But 30 days is, I think, the minimum. You have to go through the appraisal. You have to go through a lot of things. You've got to count on your buyer providing documents. And so I think that that's what, in this transaction, I would say. All right? So that's the blank space on line 55. And then goes, if the buyer does not obtain a written commitment, the agreement's null and void, they get a mutual lease signed, they get their earnest money back. We go down to line 60. All funds and documents necessary for completion of this agreement shall be placed in escrow with the lending institution or, and typically here, you're going to write the title company. If you remember, earnest money. Keller Williams Greater, Keller Williams Citywide, we don't want earnest money. Don't write an earnest money check out to Keller Williams. So in this case, let's say you're going to use Ohio Real Title. So that's who you're going to put in there. If you're going to use Chicago Title, Cleveland Home Title, Progressive Land Title, North Star Title, yada, yada, yada. That's who you put in there, and that's who the check is going to be made out to as far as earnest money. So that's the first blank on line 61. And then you say on or before. And then this is kind of the date that is a little bit before the closing. So let me say here, let me grab my calendar. Hold on one second. So let's look at November. So November the 25th is the last week, and I know Thanksgiving is on the 28th, okay? And we never want to do anything around a holiday, and certainly not on a holiday. So this first date that you're looking at is the funds and documents. This is where your buyer is going to meet with the people. They're going to sign all the documents. They're going to wire their money, things like that. So let's just say that we've decided that we're going to close this deal on November the 26th. Which is a Tuesday, a couple of days before Thanksgiving. So that's going to be the title transfer date. So we're going to back that up a few days for the funds and docs. So for this contract, we're going to say all funds and documents necessary for the completion of this agreement shall be placed in escrow with the lending institution or Ohio Real Title, the escrow agent on or before, and we're going to say November the 22nd, which is that Friday. Okay? So typically it's going to get done. Maybe it'll get done a little bit before that. Quite frankly, maybe it'll get done the day of title transfer. This date is really kind of I don't want to say it's a throwaway date, but not too many people pay attention to this date because it does have some flexibility to it. But we're going to say, for the sake of writing this contract, November the 22nd. And then we're going to say, as I finish line 61, and title shall be transferred on or about, and we are going to say November the 26th. All right? That is when the title company is actually going to take the documents, physically go down to the county courthouse, record them, and you're going to get that phone call at the end of the day that says it's official, and you're able to then talk to your buyers or your seller and go, it's done, and title is transferred. Okay? Which are the magic words. So then we go down to line 63 through 69 talks about doing a walkthrough. We used to have a separate addendum for that. Now we don't really need to do the addendum, and in here we talk about where the buyer will have the right to do a final walkthrough. It's highly recommended, and usually on here I would write within 3 days of title transfer. I think it's important to have your people do the walkthrough before they sign their papers. You have no leverage if they've signed their papers on the let's say they signed their papers on the 26th at 9 o'clock. At 2 o'clock they do the walkthrough and they go, oh my God, they were supposed to leave the washer and dryer and they're gone. And then title transfers an hour later. Where's your leverage? So you really need, I think, to get them to sign those documents, do that walkthrough before they sign the final documents with the title company. All right? And I think 3 days is adequate. And then it talks about the various terms there, going all the way through line 70. This is not another inspection. They're not bringing their inspector. You're just looking to make sure that the place is in the same condition it was when you did the inspection. There's not, you walk in and there's not a foot of water in the basement. They were supposed to leave all the appliances. They're all gone. Moving out of the couch, they damaged the window and the wall. So it's just kind of things like that. Okay, shouldn't take more than 10, 15 minutes in general. All right. So I think the last thing on the whole date thing would be the possession, which is kind of what you're working back to. And if the property is vacant, then there's no reason why title transfer should not be the same day as possession. If the house is occupied, the listing agent might tell you when they can move out, and maybe they'll want 1 or 2 days of still being there prior to your people getting possession. They don't have to be the same date, but most of my contracts I write title transfer and possession the same date. And certainly with a vacant property, there's no reason to wait to get the possession. So here it says possession. Seller shall deliver possession and occupancy of the buyer on or before 6 p.m. And then there's a place to put in the number of days. Here you would put 0 days if it's the same. I tend not to ever fill that out. I tend to just go right to line 72 and put the date. So here we would go, 0 days, or you just put a line through that, and then after recording of the deed on line 72, or in this case 11/26/19, whichever is later. And the buyer shall transfer utilities commencing on the date of possession. So certainly you need to let your buyer know that they need to transfer utilities in their name based on the possession date. All right, I think I'm done with our calendar. So next, it talks about title. I'm not going to go over this in general, but it talks about how conveying a marketable title to the buyer. It talks about a little bit about mortgages, zoning, things like that. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I think you should read it, but I'm really not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because it typically doesn't come into play. And then let's skip down to prorations, line 83. In general, this is talking about they're going to prorate the taxes as of title transfer. If you're buying an investment property and it's on the 26th, well, there's another 4 days of rent. You as the new buyer, as a new owner, should get 4 days of prorated rent. So if it's $1,000 a month rent, 30 days in November, 1,000 divided by 30, multiplied by 4, you should be getting a credit for that amount because you own it the last 4 days of that month. It also talks about prorating homeowners associations, things like that. Property taxes is probably the biggest number. If we get all the way down to line 93, escrow agent shall withhold X amount of dollars from seller to secure payment of the final water and sewer charges. In my mind, with this kind of figure, I think $250 for most single-family homes is going to be reasonable. I think that if you're dealing with a multi-family home, maybe a little bit higher, maybe $350. I think if you're dealing with like a 6 to 8 unit, 10 unit apartment building, and they have a boiler type system that uses water to heat the building, and it's in the wintertime, I would probably write something much larger, maybe $1,000, because you're going to have a bigger water bill typically. But that's what that line is for, and that's to protect your buyer. They will withhold that money from the seller, and then the seller will get their final water and sewer bill as a title transfer, and then they will then pay that bill, and then they will get those monies released back to them. So, that is in your buyer's best interest to have some water and sewer money held. Condominiums sometimes, or large buildings that the water bill is paid for by the association, in those situations, there's not going to be a water hold because, your individual owner is not paying a water bill. Let's go to line 98. Charge and escrow instructions. This is once again for the title company. It kind of talks about what the seller's going to pay. It talks about what fees that they're going to split, what fees they're going to pay. It talks about VA and FHA fees and what is allowable and not allowable. Line 107 to 109 talks about what the buyer is going to pay. So closing costs are pretty set in stone as far as who pays what, other than if you as a buyer's agent want to ask for a contribution to your seller, contribution to your buyer from the seller. They're pretty standard. I'm a big believer in running net proceeds sheets for sellers and buyers so that they understand what their expenses are going to be up front before you're writing an offer. But this kind of is pretty standard and customary in our marketplace. So that's a little bit about those lines. Line 111 talks about the home warranty. Buyer acknowledges the availability of a limited home warranty with the deductible paid by buyer, which either will or will not be provided. You have to make a choice. You also need to then obviously explain to your buyer what exactly a home warranty is all about. There's all kinds of literature and information on it. My suggestion is that you make them aware of home warranties, up front, so that while you're writing the offer, you don't need to spend 20 minutes debating about whether or not they should get a home warranty. A common mistake that sometimes gets made is that the seller is offering a home warranty, and that would be marked in the MLS, and you need to make sure you pick up on that so that you can mark this properly, and the debate's over. You don't need to talk about it. They're offering it, and we'll determine what those circumstances are. But, that you need to be aware of that. If I've written contracts that said we don't want a warranty, and then I look and see in the MLS they're offering one, that can be embarrassing. So, so either you will or you won't. If you are, we have a relationship with America's Preferred Home Warranty. That's who we use. They have very good information brochure. They have the costs that you could then put in as far as what the warranty is going to be. And then it talks about who will be charged, either the seller or the buyer. So you are saying yes or no. If you're saying yes, you're putting in who the warranty company is, what the amount is, and then obviously who's paying for it. So that gets us to line 116, which is the inspections. And I'm going to stop here on page 2, and on page 3, I'll spend, and partially page 4, I will talk about the inspection section of the contract. So that's my take on page 2. Have a great day.